earlier.
Mr.
But before
Chairman,
that,
can I
let me,
just
yeah,
can I
yeah,
just say hello to everyone?
yeah, let me acknowledge, I was going to say, let me acknowledge the online presence of Senator Pia Cayetano, who's a staunch advocate of education in the Senate. Senator Pia, any opening remarks or questions to ask our colleagues from DepEd?
No questions yet, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say good morning to everyone and thank you for having this hearing. I'm listening intently. Maybe later on at the end, we digest all the info. That's the time I'll give my comments. But I just want to share, Mr. Chairman, I visited Tuloy sa Don Bosco yesterday. My interest, as you know, is a little bit bias for sports. No, they have a very good sports program. But tuloy sa Don Bosco, as I think most of the experts will know, has really been the pioneer in tech talk, di ba? Hindi pa tayo nag-senior high, hindi pa yata hindi pa talaga nabuo si Tesla. Nandiyan yung tech ng Don Bosco. So I think it would be an interesting not just an ocular but to observe kasi without going into the details yet, because as I said, my purpose there was primarily to look at their sports facilities. They're also now training coaches. Nung nagkaroon pala ng senior high, nagulo sila kasi matagal na silang may tech-voc, Mr. Chairman. Matagal na silang may graduates ng tech-voc with the current 10-year program. So nung nagkaroon ng grade 11, 12, sila pa yung hindi na-accredit kasi wala pa silang grade 11 and 12. And yet, I think everybody will know na they've been churning out tech-voc graduates quite successfully. So parang may disjunct talaga, di ba? Sila pa ngayon yung na left behind in that sense kasi napilitan sila magdagdag ng 2 years. And if I may speak for Senator Alan, that's always been his concern, no? Nagdagdag tayo ng 2 years, how successful were those extra 2 years of education? Kasi that's all we want naman, di ba? And that's why we're here to listen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Pia. And I agree that Don Bosco has been a trailblazer in the TechVoc program. Even prior to K-12, I've been hearing a lot of good things about how they launched their TechVoc program and integrated it with the needs of the industry. And I think it's good for the EDCOM to visit and to hear Father Inocencio's comments on how to reform our TechVoc and integrate it well with our senior high school program. And I remember also the comment of Senator Alan regarding our senior high schools. I think he made comments during the budget season, no? And a lot of his comments are very valid because we promised so many things when we were debating K-12 program, and that's why we're here to look at those promises, because those promises, if those promises are unfulfilled, it will be a source of dissatisfaction from our constituents. And as policymakers, we have to address the dissatisfaction and correct those unfulfilled promises. No? So thank you very much for raising those very important points.
And I'll be happy to arrange, Mr. Chairman, the visit to Tuloy sa Don Bosco for EDCOM.
Thank you, Senator Pia. I'll go to the presentations earlier. On page, I think page 10, what is the distribution of senior high school graduates based on the curriculum exits? I'll take the tracer study as current, no? And because in the absence of a current study, I'll take this as what is. I'll take this as the latest study in what's happening right now on the ground. No, so on page 10, there's distribution on where our senior high school graduates go to. No, 82% they go to college, 10% they get employed, 1% they become businessmen or entrepreneurs, and less than 1% get middle level skills training. So do we have any numbers? The 10%, they are seeking employment or they are employed? No? These are very different actions. No?
Yes, Madam Chair. Senator Win, these 10.22% are employed.
Are employed. So that's also quite good. no? If they are employed. But I also showed earlier, also showed during the first hearing that based on our research, those who are employed only in very low-paying and low-skilled jobs. No, I'll show us a slide later, and this is based on a research we conducted. This is based on the labor force survey. That, to make it simple, no, those senior high schools that were employed, majority, 50%, are in elementary occupations. No? So meaning these are occupations that you don't need senior high school education. These are very simple jobs. No? For example, clerks, utility, car wash, yung mga ganyan na trabaho. So in other words, 50% of those who are employed in very simple jobs, no? And that's not what we want. No? We added 2 years. We included in those 2 years TVL, and those 2 years should generate senior high school that are gainfully employed, and they are employed in at least decent paying jobs, no? But that's not the case right now, no? Kalahati is in elementary occupation and so on, no? These are what we have detected. So, in other words, it's good that they are employed, but it's bad that they're employed in low-skilled jobs, no? Which is not the aim of our senior high school. And then let's go back to that slide. 82% in higher education. So it seems to me, you know, just looking at that tracer study, that our senior high school has two major directions. No? They go to college, which is 82%, no, a big chunk, or they go find a job, no, which is 10%, no, and the rest they become businessmen and so. But the two major tracks will be employment and higher education. But if you go to your slide 12, no? So we'll dissect these two tracks, because it's important to know what they are experiencing. Kasi almost 90% either are in college or looking for jobs. And I thank Ched for participating here physically, because this is an important discussion. In slide, yung findings, finding number 4. Yan. No. We'll just focus on pursuing higher education. Difficulty of the subjects, no? Non-crediting of senior high school subjects, no? And rejection from the degree program. Itong tatlo lang, let's focus on that, because again, with my opening statement, I said that the aim of our senior high school program is to generate college-ready or university-ready graduates, no? Meaning when they go into college, they can participate fully in college. But the feedback that we are getting is hirap sila, no? Difficulty of the subjects are not being credited, so uulitin nila, no? And rejection from the degree. And I've detected this also on the ground. Mayroong mga bridging program, no? And the bridging program adds cost because it's not free, you know. It adds time and it adds cost, no? And apparently the application of the bridging program is uneven also. Some college, they have bridging programs, and some universities, they don't have bridging programs. So for students of senior high school, it's quite confusing, no? And we also saw in the responses earlier, in page 9 of your slide, that our senior high school students are also quite fickle with their courses, diba? Lahat naman tayo doon naging teenager at 16, 17, 18, we don't know where we're going yet. A lot of us are fickle in terms of what do we want with our lives. Kaya if you look at their comments, mayroong comments kanina. Halimbawa po, natulad ko, dapat STEM yung kukunin, napapunta sa gas kasi yun lang ang available. And aside from being fickle, it's also the availability, no, of the tracks that they are available, no. If you look at the comments here, actually ito yung mga comments na nakita natin. Kaya po ako nag-gas kasi po yun lang ang available na track doon sa school. Naghahanap pa kami ng iba pang strand kaso dahil malayo, kapos ang pera, tapos malayo, parang nag-stick na lang kami kung ano yung nandito. So what I'm getting from this comment is there's also issues of supply, no? What is available, and that then PID has pointed it out in their research. So my point here is kasalanan ng gobyerno na kulang tayo sa facilities, no? Kasalanan ng gobyerno na hindi available yung gusto nila. But when they go to college, hindi natin tinatanggap yung kanilang degree program, no? If they're forced to take a particular track or a particular strand because that's the only one available there, but when they go to college, it's not accepted, kasalanan ng gobyerno yan. Diba? Tapos pagpunta nila ng college, mag-bridging program sila, dagdag gastos, dagdag oras pa. So my point there is, we're penalizing our senior high school students or senior high school graduates by adding a bridging program, by adding more time, and by not accepting them to a course that they want, but it's not available during their senior high school. No? So that's my analysis here. No? Based on the comments that I've seen, and also on the ground that because I talked to our parents also in Valenzuela, that's also what I'm getting, that sometimes the interest of the senior high school student is not in their area, and they're forced to take something that is available there. No? But the problem is when they move to college, whatever they took in senior high school is not accepted or not credited. So let me go back to that slide, yung findings. No? So what I'm detecting here, no, yung pursuing higher education, our senior high school students are not college ready. No? Even though a majority of them go to college, but from the reactions that we are getting, they're not college ready. This is based on reactions. No? Wala pa tayong mga empirical studies dyan, no? Just purely anecdotal. So I want to ask Ched right now, no? Andito si Ched, kay Dr. Francisco. Two things, no? Number one is there any assessment whether our senior high school students are indeed college ready or not? Have CHED conducted its own assessment? And then number two, the crediting of subjects, the rejection from degree because they took up a different track. What is now the policy of CHED to that effect? No? Because it's not the fault of the senior high school students that they don't have the desired track or strand in college. It's not their fault. No? It's a supply issue. And PIDS can expound on that later on. So what is the policy now? Because it seems to me that we're penalizing our students, but it's not their own doing. No? So two questions po.
First po about the college readiness study, no. During the time of Dr. Licuanan as chair of TED, she was thinking about there's an informal discussion about doing a college readiness test for graduates of senior high school. Pero it was thought that that might be discriminatory because we know na iba-iba yung strands that the students are taking, they're taking different tracks. So you cannot conduct a college readiness test across the board. So sabi, sige, wag na lang. Let's just leave it to the colleges, the HEIs, to screen those students who are applying and see if they are ready for the programs they are applying, qualified, But we know, as you have said, that students are not necessarily in the tracks that they want to go to. One is, siguro when they began, they're not decided yet, they want to shift. Two is the schools are not offering the tracks that they want, So CHED had issued a memorandum, The HEIs were instructed, you should accept any senior high school graduate. So even if they're applying for a STEM course and their track in senior high school is not STEM, that should not stop you from accepting them. But you should provide for bridging, the necessary bridging that they need, Because when the K-12 was implemented, CHED's policy is, let us remove all the courses that are repeated. Kasi before K-12, they take algebra in high school, then they take college algebra. So they take English in high school and the English in college is medyo malaking overlap, So let's not repeat anymore. But if the students come to us without that preparation, we should be ready to provide that bridging that they need. But you should not use it as a reason to reject them from the course, in other words, So accept them no matter what strand they took, but be ready to give them the bridging that they need. So it's at the institutional level, this is happening. And as you said, it's non-uniform. The implementation of the bridging is not uniform. Some HEIs provide the bridging, some don't. Yung iba ang nangyayari because it's expensive and the students cannot afford to pay extra tuition for these bridging courses. What they do, for example, is, sige, we just review it na lang. You take it instead of teaching what we're supposed to teach as their first college course. Let's review some of the high school material that they missed. And so things get pushed. And in the end, you don't finish the entire syllabus that you're supposed to finish because you fill up some of the time with review of high school material. So that was what's happening. I think we were informed before that DepEd administered a test similar to the college readiness test before to see if the students actually are college ready. But they said that the results of this test will not be a basis for graduation. In other words, even if the students fail this college readiness test, they will still graduate from senior high school. We don't know if that has been sustained. So as far as CHED is concerned, we did not do any study on college readiness, but we knew that DepEd did a college readiness test during that time.
Before I ask questions, Dr. Francisco, Dr. Andaya is raising her hands. I think she has something to. She has COVID, so we allowed her to participate virtually.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Senator Win, and the honorable members of this committee and all the resource persons present. If it pleases this committee, may I respectfully respond to some of the important points raised by the good senator, sir?
Yes, go ahead po, Dr. Andaya.
Yes, Mr. Chair, first, I laud the direction of this committee to fund the NC for our TVL students. Mr. Chair, we explored that possibility sometime in 2018 at the earliest and 2019, but there were some concerns we needed to thresh out at that time, such as number one, some of those who took TVL in senior high school proceeded to university because we had an informal survey at that time, and then some of them just wanted to take TVL, but really in choosing the exit, they still chose higher ed. And then number two, students enrolled in TVL have 3 specializations, not just one, because as the committee very well knows, there are specializations that end in 1 semester, 2 semesters, depending on the nominal duration, and of course, depending on the specialization. And so, it will now be up to the student which specialization or which mini course, in the language of TESDA, the student will have to pick so that he'll be able to take and pass the NC. And number 3, TESDA, when we had an informal discussion with them in 2018 and 2019, were saying if all TVL students will take the NC, it will be difficult for them to manage that, knowing that there are, I think, and I think you mentioned that as well, Mr. Chair, that there are not a lot of certifiers that will be able to conduct that in a period that's needed, that it is needed. That's for TVL po. And then for higher ed, as one of the exits, it was mentioned that there was a bridging program that even until now are being offered by some universities and colleges, and some of our students are being rejected from the degree program. We found that out as early as 2018, Mr. Chair, because some of our students came to the regional offices saying that even the act of applying for an entrance test in university, even in that phase or step, they were already rejected. Why? Because the track or strand they took up in senior high does not match with the choice that they want to pursue in college. And so right from the start, no more entrance exam for them. And that's why I believe we talked to CHED, and there was CMO that was released that the students, our senior high school students, be allowed to at least take the entrance exam. There were those who took, there were those universities who, which accepted our students, at least in terms of the entrance exam. And then when they found out that they passed, then they just gave the bridging program. During the discussion, but I am not privy to this, this was just relayed to me in the few years of implementing the senior high school, that CHED and DepEd officials at that time were saying that the senior high school program was aligned with the college readiness standards. And what make our students college ready are not the specializations, it's the core subjects. And so there was somehow a back and forth, and then I think that what the other universities are doing now is simply that they offer bridge programs. But there are those really that are turned away even at the first step of taking the entrance exam. And lastly, Mr. Chair, we've made some consultations because we are reviewing the senior high school curriculum. We've undergone several consultations with TEIs, with higher ed institutions, and some other sectors. And in our FGDs, many of them are also saying that our students are college ready. And in the absence of a particular test that really measures if our students are college ready, we take cognizance also of this feedback coming from the university. And we will take all this into account, Mr. Chair, once we proceed with the review of the senior high school program, because these concerns, challenges have already been raised many times in our conversations with different stakeholders. That's it for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Andaya. I'll discuss some of your points earlier. No, that you mentioned. First of all, let's go to the basics. I think the first senior high school graduate, the first batch is 2018, correct?
Correct.
So it's been 5 years already, no? And I commend the tracer study that was conducted, no, right after the first graduates. However, the most important here is assessing their college readiness, because 80%, more than 80% go to college. And from your tracer study, it seems to me that they're not ready because their feedback is difficulty in subjects, no, or in the subjects in college. So my initial reaction there is they're not college ready. Although you said earlier that you have also information that some of them find it easy. So to take out the arbitrariness of opinions, it's better to conduct a formal college readiness assessment. No, that will guide us whether our college students, no, 80%, our senior high school students, 80% of them are indeed college ready or not. No, that's the most important. And then that's number one. I'm urging the department to already conduct some form of college readiness assessment, and we can work on the budget together. No, I'm sure we need to fund that also. Number two is the Senator Pia mentioned this earlier, and I remember also clearly when we were debating the senior high school, the K-12 law, that that the senior high school will be some form of it will be a preparatory stage for our college. And in fact, there were talks to bring down some of the general education subjects to senior high school. So in other words, it should be seamless, no, between our senior high school to college. Take into account also two important things. No? Number one, we all know that our senior high school students are still very young, no? Meaning they can still change what they want to do in life. No? And that happened, I think that's a majority, that the event happens to majority of us, no? Including ourselves. Number two is we have supply issues, no? Even though they want to take STEM, and I'll show you a very important study by PIDS, no? Slide 50. And I thank Dr. Urbeta for generating this. And you can, Dr. Urbeta, you can also share with us, no? In slide 50, we found out that in our public schools, which is 90% of our students, only 9% has the ABM strand. Let's bring it out. Can you bring it out? Yan, palakihan natin. Yan. No? Look at our public school. No? 9% has the ABM strand. 10% has the Hume strand. No? And 7.8% has the STEM strand. So I'm a senior high school student. I want to be an engineer. But only 7% of our schools have the STEM strand. Hindi ko naman kasalanan na 7% lang, no? And then when I go to college, so 7%, so meaning the 93% has no STEM strand. I'm forced to take gas, or I'm forced to take ABM. And then when I go to college, I want to take engineering, I'm forced to take the bridging program, which is not free, I understand, and takes time also, no? So we have to take this into account as well, no? In a perfect world, sana all of this available, but it's not going to be like that for a very long time. But we're already penalizing our students when they reach college, no? Dr. Urbeta, you want to share? This is a study that came from you. You can also give us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we found out. So in the that's national average. So actually, there's a table that computes it at the municipal level. we try to compute, like for example, so just summarize the table that 64% of the municipalities have no ABM. And we're just counting have no.
That,
Yeah, it's in the study actually. Yeah, then 70% have no UMS, 74% have no STEM, and 37% have no gas. And maritime, 99, almost 100% doesn't have maritime academic. For TVL, 37% does have TVL. Of course, 99, almost 100 have no sports and arts, and that's 98%. And so basically, that's the extent of deprivation at the municipality level. We computed it at the municipality and city levels. So, like for example, because there is a probability that you can travel to the school if you want this, but that's the situation. So that means that if you are in a municipality who wants to have EVM and there's none, and 64% don't have EVM, then you'll be forced to take the most popular, of course, is gas. That's so the general. I think the other dimension of the deprivation is that to talk about college readiness. One of the things that we realize is that the students are actually not very much encouraged to. I think Director Angay mentioned about core courses. That's supposedly the courses that prepares them for college, because those are courses that are downloaded from first year college to high school. The problem there is that is the quality of teaching. So the students we talked to, that they said that most of these core courses are taught by junior high school's teachers. So they said that they just repeat what they have done in the grade 7 to grade 10. It's not interesting for them. And so what was interesting is the strand, but as Director Ndaya said, the strand doesn't prepare you for college. What prepares you for college is the core courses. So we're very much worried about that. That one, most of the teachers are junior high school teachers who are not prepared to teach that at the college level. That's supposed to be taught at the college level, because those will not be repeated when they go to college. But what we found out is that the students said, nirepeat lang po yung ginawa namin from grade 7 to grade 10. So hindi na sila interesado. There's nothing new in there. Now when you go to college, ganun na nangyari, as if yung grade 10 pa rin yung nila, when they're supposed to be trained already at the college level first year, because those subjects are not anymore, as we have heard from the previous hearing, are not anymore taught in college. So yun ang nangyari noon, because of course is nagbe-bridging yung nun besides that. So if you teach very good core courses, then perhaps the college readiness will improve. And you have to deal with the idea that I think there was a problem that DepEd requires certain units, like BS Math cannot teach, for instance, without LET, for instance. So there were problems like that prevents specialists from teaching college level math, for instance, in senior high school, because of those requirements. So that's, I think, there's administrative requirements to be able to teach in senior high school. I think it was relaxed, but I don't know what's the extent of implementation. So those are the things that I think very crucial to improve college readiness. We have to improve the teaching of the core courses, and we have to impress upon. I think the other thing that we observed is that because it was new, the strands were very attractive to the students because it caters to their preferences. They forget about the core courses, which prepares them for college, and 80% of them goes to college. So they were attracted to accounting and all of that. So all the strands or the TVL are, even you will be surprised that one of the things that surprised us is that they wanted to take TVL because the computer training in TVL was much better than in STEM. And when they go to college, because they want to go to, they want computer science in college, and they found that the TVL teaching in computer science is better in TVL than in STEM. So when they go to college, this guy who is planning to go to computer science cannot do it because of the restrictions that he has no enough training for computer science because he took TVL. That's what the higher education saw in senior high school. So there's a lot of confusion. That's why this bill is very much important to ironing out, because there are a lot of confusion in what senior high school brings to the students, both going to college as well as going to employment. So so I think the bill is by creating a council that will talk about these issues, they will be able to stress out the problems of these problems, which needs really, because these are very dynamic and sometimes can be localized on what's really what's really needed in the locality can be discussed at the local level and at the national levels. So those kinds of that's I think what's very promising on what the bill. The other thing that I like to also mention that in the idea of having national certification is almost purely concentrated on TVL. Why is that? We have ABM, which can take bookkeeping courses. Bookkeeping in CIS, for instance. There are a lot of those. The range of courses is not only for technical courses. Also, we remember that we have 2-year colleges before, right? That have certification that can also be done. Okay, so that should not our employment opportunities. If we want to pursue employment, it should also cover the ACAD group, because there are certifications for those kinds of training. And finally, we almost forget that our government can also hire senior high school, except of course that and the bill has pointed out very much correctly that has to change the qualification requirements. So one of the things that the DepEd can encourage students is to take the sub-professional exams for government for senior high school. That should be, that can also solve another, if someone, some young students wants to join government at the level 6 or down, they only need a sub-professional eligibility. So senior high school should be also encouraged to take that as well. So 3 areas, TVL, you have ACAD, you should aim at encouraging students to take certification, because that will encourage them to, that will increase their probability of getting employment if that's dealt with correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Urbeta. Dr. Urbeta, this is the slide that you're pointing out, no? Like for example, ABM, Accounting, Business, and Management. 36% of our municipal LGUs have no ABM. No, so they're forced to take, let's say, gas or whatever. No, and then they plan to go to college taking.
That's 64% po. This is not not offering.
Not offering.
64% are not offering. 64% are not offering.
64% are not offering.
Yeah.
So you're forced to take another strand.
Yeah. If you like CBM in a municipality, you forced to, most probably it will be gas.
But when you go to college, you want to take, let's say, marketing.
Yeah, that they will. Maybe the college, the ECI will tell you're not prepared for that because you're
rejected. Is that?
There's a memo that says that. I don't know how it's implemented. It's always a school by school level.
But based on the information of Dr. Andaya, you're outright rejected, or you're forced to take a bridging program.
Then just ask the question: why is a student who passes an entrance exam still required to have a bridging program? That's the question.
That's why I said earlier, the bridging program is uneven. I know there are some colleges na walang bridging program. I know there's some college bridging program. How much is a bridging program, Dr. Francisco? Do you have any idea? More or less lang.
It costs the same as a subject, a 3-unit course po.
So how much will a student pay for a bridging program?
Depende po yan, sir, sa school.
More or less lang.
Wala. Pag private, a 3-unit course, might cost
More or less. So we have a working figure.
mga 3,000 pesos.
So and how long does a bridging program?
1 semester po.
1 semester, so 3 months, 4 months,
That will be 5.
5 months. So they're forced to take plus 5.
Yeah.
Well, sabihin na natin 4 months, no? So they're forced to take additional 4 months and pay 5,000 pesos for that.
3 to 5. Yeah.
Oh, how many? But one subject lang yan, di ba? How
One
many
subject
But
lang
how
po.
many subject?
Well,
More or less.
depende po kasi usually what the HEIs do is they give them some kind of diagnostic test or based on the transcript or their grades, the HEI will recommend you need bridging in this subject, you need bridging in this subject. So depende sa estudyante.
Yeah, but is there a policy that your track should be the same as what you
Wala po,
want to take in
There's-
college?
There's no policy, sir. It also depends on the course they're taking. Now, for example, all the sciences, the pure sciences, mathematics, biology, chemistry, physics, no, they don't assume any of the STEM subjects from high school except the math. No, yung math lang. So whether nag-chemistry ka nung high school or hindi, you apply for BS Chem, they don't consider that. Nag-ABM ka, okay lang yon. As long as you take a remedial in the math, no, the pre-calculus. Yun lang yung ina-assume. But engineering is different because they tried to reduce from 5 years to 4 years. So now they're saying, itong mga binaba sa high school, we don't offer them anymore, no? We assume that you have taken them because we've removed that from our curriculum and you need to learn those. So, mahigpit sila, no? If you're not STEM in senior high, you cannot qualify because we're assuming these things already. We're not willing to teach them again in college. So, depende po sa course na pupuntahan ng bata. Ang ABM, I don't think there's a problem. Because ABM, they don't assume that you've taken accounting or marketing. Galing ka sa gas, they will accept you in ABM.
From what I understand, that there are your general subjects, no? Your
Yes,
core
Core
subjects.
subjects.
And that core subjects are the ones that will enable you to be college ready. That's what I
Yes.
understand. And those are the ones that were brought down. Tama?
Yes.
No? So, regardless of what course you want to take in college, if the core subjects are taught properly, you can survive, you can enter whatever course in college
Yes.
without taking any bridging program.
You have to remember, sir, before K to 12, the old GE, General Ed, there are 2 GEs. There's a GE for STEM and there's a GE for non-STEM. Because, for example, the math and the NATSI, iba yung level na kinukuha ng science people and engineering people. Now, with K to 12, those that went down are the general GE courses. So yung mga STEM, hindi siya kasama dun sa no? So that's why if you look at the senior high school, the STEM strand, iba yung kanila, may additional sila na math, may additional sila na sciences. Those came from the old GE for STEM. Ngayon kasi yung GE, wala nang separation. Whether your STEM, your business, your humanities is the same GE.
But that's good for our students. Di ba ho? And I said, like we said, no, there's a supply issue. No, so in this slide, no, if you can see, for example, in STEM, almost 60% don't have STEM. So if I'm a senior high school student, I want to be an engineer, but there's no STEM in my school, I'm forced to take something else. But when I go to college, I'm forced to take a bridging program
Yes,
again.
sir.
No? So my point of the matter there is, kasalanan ng gobyerno, we couldn't offer STEM all over our schools. It's not the fault of our students. And the same with other subjects. So my point there is we have to take into consideration the supply issues. Or else we're penalizing the learner for something that it's beyond their control.
Yes, sir. Pero you also have to remember, sir, na it's not all that case, no? So merong konti na they wanted STEM, they wanted to go to engineering, but it's not available. But there are also students who are, changing their minds. And noon, it's normal for them to expect, if I change my course, let's say I began accounting and then I decide I want to go engineering, they expect to extend, no? I won't finish in time because I changed my course. So,
It's in
ganun,
college na. That's in college already.
kasi po yung senior high school, remember, inisip natin na these are actually the first year in college na bumaba. And it's like, pag nagbalit ka ng strand, it's similar to shifting. Alam niyo yung from first year, nag-shift ako. So there might be delays. No? There
But
might
there's
be
also a
extra-
comment of non-crediting. If that is the case, how come the comment? Let's go back to that slide. No?
We cannot credit high school subjects for college subjects. That's, di ba? Kasi senior high school subjects are high school subjects. And
I would assume this is the general education subjects.
when the K to 12 was implemented, the GE also changed. Yung mga nababa po sa senior high school, wala na po siya sa GE. There's no repetition now, so you cannot credit anymore. When the subjects from GE, the old GE went down to senior high, they disappeared in the new GE. Wala na po siya ngayon sa GE.
So that means the college courses, two things. So the college courses have reduced the
Yes,
time.
sir. The GE from 63 units before is now 36 units.
Okay.
Kasi bumaba na po siya sa senior high.
And wala nang GE subjects that are repeated in.
Wala na po, sir. We remove all the repetitions.
Okay, meron kaming actually I want to show a slide. No, we mapped out. This is a crude mapping that we did. Nevertheless, I want to show this to the body. Like for example, general mathematics. No, in senior high school, meron tayo niyan, di ba? General
sir.
mathematics. Look at dyan naka-flash, no? But in college, meron mathematics in the modern world.
Opo.
No? But if you look at the concepts, more or less they're the same. No?
Di po, sir. Ang general mathematics is used to be Math 1 in college. So it covers basically algebra, may konting logic, statistics, probability. Ang mathematics in the modern world is more interdisciplinary. It covers the nature of math, it covers problem solving, it covers applications, for example, in voting, in finance, so iba po siya.
But if you look at yung expectations sa senior high school, apply concepts of inverse, exponential, and
Yes. Algebra po-
logarithmic. So may application rin eh.
Yes, algebra po yan. Pero yung math in the modern world, wala na po siyang algebra.
Okay. How about itong oral communication? No? Like for example, we mapped out here in oral communication, and then there's in college there's purposive
Opo.
communication. But when we looked at some of the expectation, may mga overlaps rin. No?
I think, sir, yung purposive communication is more general. It's more for the purpose of, kasi they're now going to be trained professionally. So the purposive comm is now linked to their profession, no? So they will be trained to communicate in any medium, no? Kung ano man yung profession nila. So whether it's by using social media, by using writing, by using videos, by using speech, no? So it's the next level. No, you concentrate on your audience and your mode of communicating.
Well, I think my point, Dr. Francisco, is the mechanism in which DepEd and CHED communicates, no, so that there will be no redundancy, there will be seamless transition from senior high school to college. We have to remember 80% of our senior high school enters college, no, and we want to make it as seamless as possible. The bridging is not seamless, no.
Yes,
For
po.
me, it's not a sign of being seamless. No, the
Yes.
bridging is actually a hurdle for them. No, if you're talking about 5 months of bridging, you actually extended their senior high school from 2 years to 2.5 years. No, parang ganun nangyari for them. Eh. No, so that's why my point is, what is the mechanism for DepEd and CHED to sit down and to make sure that our senior high school enters college seamlessly? No? Walang problema. They move and go into college without encountering all of these complications.
Actually, sir, if you look at on paper, the competencies, seamless dapat yan, no? Ang nangyayari lang, it's very uneven. Even before K to 12, no? When they come to college, some students come prepared. Their high schools have prepared them very well. So they can go seamlessly. But there are some students, yung hindi na prepare nung high school nila. Walang problema noon because there's an overlap. They take algebra again, na kinuha nila nung high school. Yung English nila, inuulit nila ulit. So parang yung lack nung high school, napupuno, in the first year, what happens is they're being equalized. No? So maganda yon. Pero ngayon, tinanggal natin yung repeats. No? So wala nang, yung algebra na na-miss nila nung high school, there's no opportunity for them now to refill it. Kasi tinanggal yung common subjects eh. So it's still the same problem from before, but we feel it now kasi wala yung common subjects, and the only way to refill that gap is to offer bridging.
What is the mechanism? No, I am not. Is there a mechanism where DepEd and CHED talks about this senior high school issues? No. Kasi right now, it seems, in my take with all this feedback, it seems to me that it's not seamless for our students. Eh? No? It's seamless for you, but for them, it's not. No? That's what I'm trying to address.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may be allowed.
Yeah, and then after Dr. Miss Victorino, Dr. Andaya.
Yeah. Perhaps Director Andaya first po. Baka you,
Yeah, Director Andaya, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would like to also say that the mechanism at this time is not that, may I just say that we've not been talking that much with CHED, and that is something that perhaps this committee and your bill, Mr. Senator, might be able to rectify, because there really needs to be, not just perhaps with CHED, but also with TESDA, because there are many courses that are being implemented right now, or a revision to the specializations, and I refer to TESDA, that need to be also made by DepEd, and we need to cope with all those changes as well in the coming school year, and that's why that mechanism should be smooth. For CHED, there are many issues that we need also to thresh out, and I believe that under Vice President and Secretary Sara Duterte, that's one of the things that she would want to do, creating a mechanism whereby all the three institutions will be able to sit down together and talk about this. We have, in the review of the curriculum and its perhaps eventual release sometime this May, we have always invited CHED to our meetings, discussions, and workshops, just so that they can shed light on some of the policies and pertinent pertinent documents that we need to look into as we review the curriculum, but their help specifically in senior high school will be very much needed. Mr. Chair, I also would like to mention that DepEd, prior to this administration, also held several talks with civil service as regards the possibility of allowing our senior high school graduates to qualify for entry-level positions or employment under the civil service rules. It's an ongoing discussion also. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, and I will invite I think CSC sir, no? Later on to comment on that. But thank you for your honesty and candor that both CHED, DepEd, and TESDA needs to constantly communicate on the matter of senior high school. No? Let's go back to the findings. No? Kasi in the findings, there's also another finding here, misalignment of senior high school track with TESDA courses. And it also came out last time that not all courses being offered by DepEd are accredited by TESDA, no? Correct. So I was actually surprised because I would assume that all courses go through TESDA. TESDA being the premier accreditation body of the country. And it goes without saying that all of these TVL courses should follow the training regulation of TESDA so that you can be accredited. But I was actually surprised that there are some courses DepEd offered that is not part of the TESDA training regulation.
Mr.
I would
Chair?
assume that is the misalignment, no? And again, that student might be penalized or will be penalized because, for example, I took up a course, then at the end there's no accreditation or there's no certification, then I'm left hanging because my course that I took for 2 years cannot be certified because no certifying agency will do that, and then it's dead end for me. No, I'm trying to remove the dead ends. That's what we're trying to do. No, Dr. Andaya, go ahead.
Yeah, may I comment on that, Mr. Chair? It is true that there are a handful, and I think 4 or 5 only out of the total of 110 or more specializations. And these are about weaving, because at the moment, TESTA does not offer us this does not offer those particular specializations, but that these are needed in the communities. And so, Mr. Chair, these are outlier specializations, not accredited by TESTA, but there are industries that are very much interested about hiring our students who underwent this particular non-NC certification. And that's, I think, the beauty also of what we're doing. Although these are not TESDA certified, but these also came from those industries that need the manpower of our senior high school graduates, and that's why we offer them. Basketry, weaving, there are only 4 or 5, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
I recognize the proactiveness of DepEd. No, I'm sure that's a response to the local necessities. No, however, I'm trying to also find a proper exit and create value for our students. For example, if weaving is a in-demand skill in that locality, I think it will create more value if the student will have a certification that he is a NC1, NC2 certified weaver, no? And then because that certification is transferable, you can go anywhere, not only in the Philippines, but the whole world. My point there is, I know that DepEd's being proactive, but I'm also trying to put together TESDA and DepEd so that we create value for the students. It's really, I'm looking at the students. And that's why part of the recommendation that I will have is for TESDA and DepEd to work more closely together, no, so that all the courses can be certified, and then TESDA will also be in tune or in line with the requirements of our communities, no? Like for example, weaving. I know. For example, in Mindanao, no, some communities they value weaving. Then TESDA should also look at that and create a course, a training regulation for that, so that DepEd can use it, no? Yeah.
Mr.
Go
Chair,
ahead, Doc.
if I may, Mr. Chair. Actually, Mr. Chair, we do have training regulations in handloom weaving, in traditional crafts. And this is part of our currently 315 training regulations that have already been promulgated by the TESDA board. And on top of this, we also have, Mr. Chair, the area-based demand-driven TVET, wherein we recognize the needs of the locality. By the regions and by the provinces, and we directly coordinate with our local counterparts and the industries in the development of competency standards that our partners, not only with the DepEd but in the higher education, but also in other stakeholders may utilize. And just for the information of everybody, Mr. Chair, we have a standing memorandum of understanding with the DepEd. This was signed in 2019 by then DepEd Secretary Briones and TESDA Secretary La Peña, and part of this is the establishment of a working group that will work through regular consultations, that will work on harmonization and complementarity of strategies, policies, and programs on TVET and skills training, consistency and quality assurance of training regulations and standards on TVET, discussion and resolution of concerns as may be raised by either of TESDA or DepEd, and agreement on common research and innovation programs, Mr. Chair. And then we also included in that particular MOU the sharing and consolidation of trends and data on TVET. And the validity of this MOU, Mr. Chair, is 5 years since 2019 when it was signed by both parties represented by our secretaries. And we wish to emphasize also, Mr. Chair, that in TESDA, we always look at quality assured technical vocational education and training. That's why we have the training regulations, the competency standards, and then we also have program registration and accreditation of assessment centers. We understand that the TVL is part of the basic education. And if we are unable to register that particular program to be offered as part of the senior high school, we, as expressed by our Deputy Director General in the last public hearing, that trust and confidence with our partners from the Department of Education that they are using our training regulations as reference and as standards in the development of their curriculum for their program offerings. We also have, Mr. Chair, the assessment and certification, and this is where we bring the trainees or the students and the graduates for national certification, Mr. Chair. And we have in our TVET ecosystem from Region 1 to the BARM, a lot of assessment centers. But we know that if we will have the full mandatory assessment of our senior high school, then we have to work more on the expansion of our assessment centers and to expand also our capacity to be able to absorb our senior high schools, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Castillo. Director Andaya.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I stand corrected po as regards hand weaving. It's really a handicrafts, Mr. Chair, basketry, fashion accessories, needlecraft, woodcraft, leathercraft, all needed by the industry and what's in the locality. We responded to this, but not taking, of course, not, but also ensuring that even as these do not have the necessary NCs, okay, because it's equivalent to 160 hours, we ensured that they have NCs also in other areas. And therefore, Mr. Chair, we made sure that our students taking up the Tech-Voc track will also possess, if they would want to take up an NC, that they can, because there are two other specializations that they take up. That's my clarification po. And I agree with our TESDA counterpart that there was this memo, the memorandum of understanding that was made sometime in 2019, but that group of which I am a part only met for like once or twice. And so my point is that we need to meet regularly, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Please share, like, subscribe, and comment sa aking channel para updated ka lagi sa kaganapan sa loob at labas ng ating bansa. Hanggang sa muli, magandang araw Pilipinas!